Alright, so today the goal is we are back working on the full-size OBS mini truck. I'm calling it an OBS mini truck because it is a full-size truck, OBS Chevy, that I am inspired by the mini trucks from back in the day. That is what the series is, and that's what I'm sticking to it. The goal is for this video, and what I want to start to work on, is getting the front end finalized and figuring out where the frame needs to be to mount the front bumper. Since we did a Z-notch as well as a body drop, that is a massive difference, so we need to get that figured out, as well as figuring out what we need to do to get the bed on this thing. Let's get started.
And now, you're watching the ego stroking, always joking. Sorry for the inconvenience, but our ice cream machine is currently broken. Channel of YouTube. Welcome to Bodie Vision.
Hey, so what is up, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me yet again on another video. So let's not waste any time, let's get right into this front end. So the thing is, we have the piece over here. Let me find which one is labeled driver's side, not that it really matters. So this guy right here, this was in this area, and then I had to lop it off, and now since the frame was Z-notched, we have to lower it by the amount that the frame was Z-notched plus the amount that the body was dropped. So that puts that guy somewhere down in here. I had the entire radiator support on, so that way I could kind of locate it, and it puts it at about a ½ of an inch lower than where it initially was, so right in there. So what I'm thinking is, we just have some steel that I'm going to weld on right here. We're just going to tack that guy on, or weld it a little bit more out than a tack. So we'll weld that there. That gives us a nice base to mount this guy right here, and so on and so forth, and then we will build back all of the structure accordingly, because if you get hit, if the front bumper hits anything, it's just going to collapse underneath it, and that's not what we want to happen. We want this thing to be pretty solid, but the first thing is getting it tacked in or locked in where it needs to be located, and then we will worry about adding the strength after. So now that we have these guys located exactly where they need to be, they needed to be 31.5 inches apart. That's what the bumper is showing now. If we're a little bit off, that's okay, but 31.5 would get us exactly perfect. One thing that's really important is we don't need to be 31.5 from here to there. We also don't need to be 31.5 from over there to over there. We need to be centered at 31.5. So what I ended up doing was, once the radiator support was on there, I found the center point of that. Then from there, we did half of 31.5 over to there, half of 31.5 over to there, to make sure everything was truly on center. Now, if we check right now, we are dead money on center, 31.5. If you're off a little bit, the bumper has a little bit of leeway, everything is okay. We're just building a cool, fun car over here. Don't take it too serious. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to gusset it. I want to gusset it. Now, the best way that I've found to make gusset templates for irregular shapes is to just throw some tape on it, and then you can trace the line that you want. We have this one that arches up a little bit, and then this guy right here, that is our template for our gusset. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this to an 1/8 inch piece of steel. I'm making the one for the inside. I am doing a custom one for the outside, making sure that the hypotenuse, I think that's the hypotenuse, right? The long side of the triangle, making sure that that is both the same length on both sides, so that way by the time we plate it in, that plate is nice as well. So a lot of mumbo jumbo, boring information for me to just say, let's go ahead and get this gusset cut, the other one cut, welded in, and then these guys will be nice, supported, sturdy, rigid, strong, plumb true. Let's get cutting. Alright, so with the front end, you can see that we are in really good shape. I put the two on each side, so 4 total. Little bumper, horn, grabber, whatever you want to call them, the little bumper mounts, we put those back. Now keep in mind, if we would have been off with where the radiator support needed to go, then the bumper would have been off. It would have been a whole nother can of worms. This truck, I think I'm probably going to call it the can of worms because it is becoming a can of worms, or we are trying to avoid that at all costs. So we have the 4 mounts right there, we have this one, then we have the 2 on the other side, and then if you can see from the front, you can see how much higher the frame really is in the car. Again, that distance is the Z-notch plus the body drop, so all in all, the motor is going to be pretty high in this thing, which I think will be pretty cool. Some of you guys were hating on it, but that's okay. I like it when I get a little mix of emotions and mix of reviews on what I'm doing. So that is going to be nice, solid, and strong, and I have confidence in it that it's good, nice and solid. If you're welding something and you want to see if it's going to be strong or not, you have to stand on it. So the next thing that I want to do, let's make sure that the bumper is going to fit. Then I want to air out the truck to see how far the bumper is going to be off of the ground. I know a lot of the guys, they rip these metal bumpers in half, put the bottom of the bumper on the ground, then weld out the difference. I'm thinking I might do that. I know I have a newer style back bumper. It'd maybe be cool if we put a newer style front bumper on this truck. Or it'd be cool if we did some vents or fog lights, or I don't know. The customization phase of this build, I will do that a little bit later on, but I kind of just want to have in mind what we are up against with the can of worms here in the future. Alright, so as I suspected, the bumper is not laying down all the way. We have our front plate frame that is sitting on the ground, but we are probably going to get rid of that. That sits a little bit lower than the bumper. That's what's on the ground, so we need to bring the bumper down to the ground. I want to be able to chop off someone's toes if I air out and they're standing in front of the truck. We obviously need to do some adjusting. The bumper needs to be pushed in a little bit. We also maybe need to narrow it. I don't know. I had to narrow it on the yoke, you know. Yeah, it's hard to tell without the fender there. So I was thinking that we were going to rework, kind of tuck, figure out this bumper a little bit. I'll probably make a cut right along the flat, drop it, add maybe a 3-inch section with some sheet metal just to get this thing on the ground. But we will do the fit and finish phase of this truck, like that final customization. That'll be like the last push. Again, we're just trying to kind of see where we're at and what we are up against. I wanted to make sure that the truck will still air out where the cab would lay on the floor and the bumper wasn't getting in the way of that, because the frame over here is a little bit lower than the bumper, but that's about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch off of the ground. If that would have been sitting on the ground, we would have had to do a lot of reworking. Since we are able to still lay out the cab, we are in good shape, and that proved to me that we can go ahead and move on. The next thing that I want to focus on is something that I don't exactly know how I'm going to do, but Rome wasn't built in a day, or whatever the saying is. They built the pyramids. I don't know. I can get the bed over here. I can make that happen. So let's go ahead and see what we need to do. I was thinking I might want to put the other wheels on in the back, just so that way we can focus on getting the bed actually located where it needs to be in the wheel arches, because we will definitely have to do some trimming. I don't even know if the 24s are going to fit with the stock body in the back. As you saw in the last video, the 24s have a problem in the front where we still need to get that figured out. There was a lot of good suggestions in that last video, and I will choose which direction I want to go. So with the bed, we want to make sure the wheels aren't in the way, get the bed mounted. And then once it's mounted, we can put the other wheels on, do any kind of trimming that we need to do, and see what it's going to take. The only thing to do now is to just go grab a bed. I don't want to disrupt Lola from sleeping. Look at her. She's sleeping. She can't even see me. Let me see. Let me ask her. You sleeping, Lola? Huh? You sleeping? All right, come on. We're going to go get this bed. Why don't you sit down so we can figure it out. Come on. Just looking at the bed, my first thought was we have the massive step notch and the bags and the wheels. The wheels are going to come up higher than they need to be. So with that thought process in mind, wherever these wheel arches are, or the wheel tubs, we could just cut straight across this way, cut straight across that way, pull this out of here, maybe come up to this body line or come up to here, just kind of start to see what's happening. That way the bed can sit on the back of the frame like it's supposed to, as well as the front side over here sitting on the frame like it's supposed to as well. But we need to keep in mind, we didn't just do this gigantic notch for the bags, we also body dropped the cab. So the cab and the bed need to be at the same height. So it would be a waste of time if we cut this out for it to sit on the frame, because then we would still be off by the difference that the body was dropped. So considering all those factors, we need to get rid of everything. I'm going to leave a strip in the rear for structural sake. I will leave a strip in the front for structural sake. But all of the mounting, anything that we thought we could use from how it was originally, is going to be completely gone. And also, because this was a long bed that was converted to a short bed by somebody else, we have all of that distance removed from the front, none of the distance removed from the rear, so it pushes the wheels closer to the cab a little bit. It'll be really cool and really nice for a custom look. So I have no idea where or how the mounts would line up. So let's just go ahead and get rid of everything, not even think about it, then we will build back accordingly. So right now, just looking at this thing, you might think that we are really far off, but we are actually pretty close. One thing that I was thinking is this, since we are doing the body drop, this support that's here, this the part of the bed that's here, that needs to become gone, so that way we can get the truck to get down there. So my first thought was, if I'm cutting out this guy here, I need to add in a support brace. But then I was starting to think, if I add a support brace, then I have to add a brace to go to this. So I might as well try to go for both of those at the same time. So what I did was I took a quick measurement. Right now, the body back here is roughly 4 3/4 of an inch off of the ground. So what I did here is I spaced this out, so that way the bottom of this guy, when I put it on, nice tight fit. This is a little bit more than 4 3/4 from this surface, meaning I can go ahead, lower the truck down, and then I know I can put an isolator bushing or some kind of rubber in between here. What I mainly want to focus on is, if I have 4 3/4 to the ground, I want to make sure the gap between there and the frame is more than 4 3/4, but nothing egregious. So if we overshoot it by a 1/2 of an inch, we can make up that space by an isolator or something else. If we did like 4 inches, then we'd be in trouble, and I don't like doing things twice. So here we are back after the Thanksgiving break. Now we just got the bed put on here. Now these wheels, one thing that I'm thinking is, I put these on because I wanted to give myself the best ability to put the bed exactly where it needs to go without the wheels being in the way, but these wheels themselves are kind of in the way as well. I'm thinking the offset might be pretty similar or relatively close. So let's get this aired out, see where it goes. And I see a couple more cuts I have to make. Right now the bed is all the way up against the cab because it's just clamped to it. Let's see. It's not going to be an accurate representation because we're coming down the hill, coming down the driveway. But you can kind of see what's going on. Kind of see what it looks like. Let's step back together and take a look. Yeah, looks good. Even these wheels themselves are pretty cool, but I think we want to throw the other ones on to see what they do. There's also some more cuts that I need to make. Right now the bed, like I said, is a little bit close. But we have a little bit of cleaning up kind of in this area that we need to do. And then I'll lift the bed, get it out of here, and then throw the other wheels on. And then we will start working towards building out the entire bed floor. I'm thinking putting structure through here all the way up. We'll have a little tub right there. We're going to do the entire bed floor elevated because we want space under it for the air compressor, the tank, all of that stuff. That's just how I want to run it. Some guys choose to do a big hump in the bed. With this one, with the hump being so close to the edge over here, that would make a really awkward space. We are just going to do a full flat with a little wheel tub. I think that looks good. It looks pretty cool. It is kind of weird to have the bed way up, but it is what it is. So yeah, let's get those other wheels on, see what we got to do, make a couple cuts, and keep rolling. All right, so my next step here is I want to focus on something for the bed to sit on. Now in the back where we chopped off that section right near the tailgate, it is sitting on the frame, and I like the way that it's sitting on the frame because we can move it left, right, forward, or back. We are not locked in, we are just sitting somewhere. I want to deal with the finalization a little bit later. Right now I want to worry about making sure it is sitting on the frame because right now we are clamped to the cab with 0 tolerance. We are super tight over here, but I don't know how I would get it with the right spacing as well as the correct height. With 0 tolerance, I can see that the body line is in a perfect location. So now that the height is locked in, I want to start to build off my stands. Once my stands are completed, I can move it back a little bit, move it forward a little bit. We can also shim it out a little bit if we need to. So I want to make a stand here right along with this bar, as well as a stand here with this bar, so that way we can slide it and move it. And then the very last one I will do is we will make a stand going down to the frame. The reason why I'm not doing that one right now is because the frame is arched. So with a arched surface, it's going to be harder to push and move stuff around. That's why I'd rather work with the flats. So what we did right here, if you can see, this piece that I got, we are just nice and square, nice and in line with this. So this frame section, the C-notch, and the way that it works with OBS frames is they kind of kick in a little bit, so that's not a straight surface. So we need to turn a non-straight surface into a straight surface by putting a cut on it. So we know we are square right there. I'm just going to mark this from the bottom right there. That is going to be my cut line. I will add gussets and everything along the way once we need to. I also want to label each one of these pieces. So this is going to be back left, that's going to be front left, that's going to be front right, that's going to be back right, because I got 4 of these that I have to make. I don't know if they are going to be exactly the same. They should be relatively close, but here we go. That's my cut line right there. Once we get that cut line, we are going to weld that there. I have 4 of these that I need to make. Then we will reinforce it with some gussets, make it look nice, make it look solid. Then the bed will be sitting on its own weight. Then we can get rid of our clamps over here, move it back, and I think you see where we are going. So here we are. We have a little bit of gusset action. Everybody likes a little nice little gusset. We have a larger hole right here, 2 smaller ones, symmetrical piece. The way that I normally work these is I kind of just start to freestyle it a little bit to kind of get an idea of what I want to do. Once I'm done freestyling it, I kind of scratch all that and just hone in the process. For example, I found the center line up here, and then we have this point. I drew a line from the center line to the center, or I made a center line going from the point to the center, and then I just equally spaced these guys and decided to make the center one a larger one. And then we rolled over the edge with my new press brake, so these guys fit in there so nicely. So this will just go in there just like that with the rolled edge. and looking really good. I'll figure it out once we finally get it in there. Something like that looks pretty solid to me. All right, so after I got those gussets finalized, I was looking around and thinking and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So we are sitting on the back of the frame right here. We have 2 posts right here, and then I also built this section. This was pretty neat and pretty easy to build because I was able to clamp it on the upper section and kind of use the bed itself as a jig to figure out where, how, and why I wanted to make it. So this bar right here, this is welded. This will remain part of the chassis. The chassis will look a little bit funky once you pull the bed off because you'll be kind of wondering like what's going on with that, but as it's all put together, we are in really good shape. So if you can see, we are 100% sitting. I can move it, I can pivot it, I can adjust it, I can do whatever I need to do to make this thing go exactly where we need to put it, especially once and if I want to shim it out. So I know earlier in the video we were discussing wheels, trying to figure out if the wheels were going to fit. As we air it out completely, we are touching the bed walls, so I will need to either narrow the axle just a little bit or modify the body just a little bit. No matter what I do, we are not doing that right now. We need to keep pushing forward and getting this thing to become a running and driving vehicle. I need to finish out the bed floor. Let's take a step back so that way we can see this thing aired out. So now we'll be able to get an idea of what that back fitment is going to look like, plus that front fitment when we are aired out. It is going to be dangerous. Let me air this thing out. Also, as I'm doing this, I wanted to mention that this past weekend was the turkey rod run over in Daytona, Florida. I picked up an awesome score, an awesome vehicle. I don't want this to interrupt me too bad while we air it out. Let me get the back going down too, and then I will finish my story about the turkey rod run. I don't want to do it while I'm blasting air. Let me just watch this as it goes down. Trying to make sure everything is going nice and smooth. Yeah, you hear that rubbing right there? Yeah. See, we're touching on the tires a little bit. Let me just give her a little bit of motivation to come down. Okay. That's what we needed. We can adjust it, we can shim it, we can space it. Look at this fitment, dude. Are you kidding me? Look at how this thing looks. So let me finish my story. This past weekend was the turkey rod run over in Daytona, Florida. I actually picked up a new car. This car I am so insanely excited about. I haven't been this excited about a car in a long time. And the reason why I'm so excited is because it is such a phenomenal base to start with. It's all there. Interior is solid. Runs and drives. Body is good. The only thing that I can do with it is take it up from there. And if you want to see that car and see the video on that, that is on my second channel called Bodie Vision Live. That Bodie Vision Live is going to be dedicated to live videos and extras, kind of a live feel. I just did a point and shoot style video with my iPhone as I was at the turkey rod run, so it's not super polished, just a lot more organic, easier for me to film, easier for me to edit, and easier for me to show you something really cool. So I will put that in the description down below to the second channel. I also have a shop tour on that channel as well. So that channel is just going to be background stuff of Bodie Vision, where this main channel I'm going to stick to the main project that we are working on right now. And speaking of that main project, are you seeing this fitment, dude? We are laid out on 24s. This was the goal the entire time. We can now see it starting to come together, and I could not be more excited. Let me get my face out of the way so that way we can really just take in, look at this thing, appreciate how insane. I'm hyped on this build. I'm hyped on the new car that I just got, but I am hyped on this as well, if you couldn't tell. So we got the bumper finalized in the front. We have the front end that needs some adjustments as well. I am thinking about doing upper and lower narrowed control arms to give us a little bit more space in the front. The back, we will see what needs to happen. I don't care what needs to happen because I am so hyped with the progress thus far. So coming up, we will finish out building the bed, finish out doing whatever else we have to do. Then I think the body and bed are going to come off so that way they can be finalized. painted. We need to paint the firewall before we put the body back on because the motor is in the way. I also have to tighten up some of the welding on the bottom. All of these things that I'm thinking of, you don't necessarily care about because I will show you all of those in the upcoming video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think of everything thus far. Like this video, comment, subscribe, check out the second channel, and I will see you on the next one. Look at this thing, dude. I'm out of here.